This is Gemara Baba Basra Daf Sadi Vav, and we're holding on the bottom of Sadi Hey Amid Beis, all the learning of this month, the month of Elul. As we close in on Rosh Hashanah, has been generously sponsored by a close friend of the Daf, the Zchos Aliyas Neshama, Aster Rizal, Basra, מאיר, V'siyata Deshmaya, the final few days of the year, the final few days of Elul. The Limud HaTorah should bring Aster Rizal, Basra, מאיר to a higher place in Gan Eden Shalmaila, closer to the Kisei HaKavod. We're holding 5 lines from the bottom. Sadihei Amid Beis. Omar Rav Yehuda, who comes along to teach, wine is sold in the shop, you make a bar b'yagafen. Rav Chisda Amar, Kami Chamra, Ta'akrim Lamali, what is the reason that you make such a bracha? Meaning, says Rav Chisda, wine sold in the shops, this is spoiled wine, the lowest quality wine, like the Rashbam says. So this is wine of such inferior quality. He asks Rav Chisda, why are you making a hagafen? Meisvei asks the Gemara on Rav Yehuda. So we have a machlek as Rav Yehuda and Rav Chisda. Rav Yehuda says hagafen, Rav Chisda says no. Meisvei ala pasha avshav ala yayin shehekrim ala tavshil shavra tzurasa. Says the Brisa, if you have a bread that's moldy, you have wine that's soured, you have a dish that's lost its surah, what is the halacha? The halacha is, you don't make the real bracha. So why did you, Rav Yehuda, say on sour wine you make hagafen? Amar Rav Zvid teaches Rav Zvid 2 lines in the bottom. Rav Yehuda for sama the mizin akornasa. Rav Yehuda is asking wine that's pressed from kernels, the mizdavin akarnasa, which is sold in street corners, such wine, Rav Yehuda holds, indeed, you make a shahakal. The machlekes that he and Rav Chisda had is sour wine, but it still looks and tastes like wine. Amr le Abaye le Rav Yosef, Rav Yehuda, Rav Chisda, Markim an Svir le. So Abaye said to Rav Yosef, we have this machlekes, Rav Yehuda, Rav Chisda, sour wine or almost sour wine, we should call it wine that's sold in the chanos. Rav Yehuda says it's hagafen. Rav Chisda says it is not. So Abaye said to Rav Yosef, who do you hold like? Amrle Rav Yosef responds, Masniti Yadana. I know a Mishnah, which from this Mishnah we can figure out the halacha. As we turn over to Tzadivav and Beis, responds Rav Yosef to Tanya. We learned in a Bryce, teaches Rav Yosef, someone who checks the barrel, mafresh aleh truma, in order to make sure that it is intact, to separate truma v'achach nimsa chaimetz, and subsequently he finds that it's no longer wine, it's vinegar. Kol gimel yoim vadai. For 3 days, we consider it vada yayin mikan ve'el safik. So my kamar, what does this brisa mean? Amar Rav Yechon teaches Rav Yechon 4 lines down. Hachi kamar. Call give me harishonim. Vadayayin mekavel safik. So says Rav Yechon, the first 3 days it's wine. My time, what's the reason? Chamra me'il yakar. Says Rav Yechon, you know why? Because wine turns sour from the top down. Me'iloi akar. V'hai te'imei v'loi akar. And this wine was tasted. This wine was tasted by the owner, and clearly it was not sour. He kept it here. So if Tib Shalom, you're going to tell me about Satima Azal, you go back from the previous time he tasted it. It should smell like vinegar and taste like wine. And in such a case, Allah has indeed a din of wine. Shot number 1. Shubin Levi Omer, no. Call, give me a machroinim vadechayim. So the first shita said, go back to the last time you checked it. You knew it was wine. From that moment and 3 days after that moment, it's wine. Shubin Levi says, no, go back to the last moment. You know it's today chaymetz. So the last 3 days, you could assume that it was chaymetz. Mikan ulahalon. Prior to that, Safek, it's not sure. My time. Chamra mitatoyakar. So we have a machlokes going on in what is the first part of the wine that sours. Is it the top or the bottom? The first sheet that said it goes to the top. Whereas Rishon Levi says no, it goes from the bottom. Even if you're going to say and therefore, before it goes to the bottom, you don't necessarily know when it became sour because you're drinking the wine, it tastes fine, but the wine underneath is not good. Smack in the middle. The first one is Meiloi says if Shimon Levi, let's say it was from the top, you didn't taste it. Maybe you know what happened is after you taste it, that's when it turns sour. So therefore, it smells like vinegar, it tastes like wine. The challah has the din of vinegar. Shot number 2. Shot number 3. Diramai maslim mishrei Rav Yishub and Levi. Rishonim v'adayin. V'adayin achroinim v'adayin. But now says the name of Shub and Levi, them Sa'ayim, the middle ones, that is a suffix. So 3 different opinions how we deal with the chazaka that is meant to be had on wine, whether it's the first 2 days, last 2 days, or all the days in the middle. It says the Gemara, something here doesn't work up in math. Hagufa kasha. This is shver. What's the kasha? Amri, you just told me Rishayim v'adayayin. Amri chaya chala v'tama chamra. Chamra. If you tell me the first one's din of wine, then even though it certainly started to smell, started to go off, but it tastes like wine, it's chamra. V'od amrit, then it said the exact opposite. Achroinim v'adei Alma, what do we see? Rechaya chala v'tami chamra is chala. So says the Gemara, we have a stira. When something is rechaya, it's scent, it smells, it smells like vinegar. But lemaisa, you taste it tastes like wine. So seemingly we have a machlokes, the first and latter part of the brayso, whether it's chamra or not. Responds the Gemara, Kigoin, I'll give you a new case. The marrow was found, and it was siftika, it was strong vinegar. So in that case, we know it didn't just happen. In order to get so strong, it doesn't happen on the spot. It must be, it was sour for already 3 days. Mikan pashale pligi ba ramari v'ravzeh. We can't start bastira chanamar kavyechon chanamar kavishub and Levi, and that's the first machlokes of the day. Whether we assume it's sour and you need to prove otherwise, or vice versa. We continue. Itmar, 3 lines from the bottom. Sell wine to your friend, and the Lamaisa turns into vinegar. Amarav Kolim Yarishoinim. That is a sheet of Rav. And we turn over to Sadivava Midbeis, and Shmuel comes along. And Shmuel argues, Shmuel Amar, teaches Shmuel, Chamra, says Shmuel, Chamra, Akaso demari shavar. The wine leaps, literally jumps onto the kasve, the shoulders of its owner. Meaning maybe the reason the wine went bad is not because of anything more than the owner's issues. His issues, Averos, caused the wine to sour. Shavar, says the Gemara, Ovid Rav Yosef Ovda, Kavasei de Rav, Shechra, say the Shmuel, Bechamra, looks like Kavasei de Shmuel, says the Gemara, even though Rav Yosef only did like Shmuel in the case of Chamra, Lamaisa, we paskin like Shmuel in both cases. Tana Rabana on 4 lines down, continues the Gemara. Let's go back into how we started today, a full circle. We started with what's the bracha on sour wine. Now continues the Gemara. Echad sheichar tamarim vechad sheichar sha'oirim vechad shmari yayin mevarachan alein sha'akol niyavdvari, refuse that was involved in the production of wine, etc. Still, it is a shahakol. Acheir no shemarim sheish tam yayin. You have the sediment. It says that chayrim actually tastes like wine. Then mevarach lein bar b'yagafen. then it's agafen from the fact that it tastes like it's wine. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Rav Yosef, Damri Tavaro in halacha kercheim natano lepaskin, that it's not going to be considered wine even if the shemarim are inside of it. Amar Rava, the Kuli Alma, Ramya Talsa, Vasi Arba Chamri. Everyone agrees you pour 3 cups of wine. Rama Talasa Vasi Arba, and 4 cups were produced Chamra. Then clearly it is wine. Rava l'taimei dama Rava kol chamra dolodari achat l'smaya lau chamru. That wine, the ratio is 1 part wine, 3 parts water. Rama tilsa vasi tilsa like lamu. Keep ligi, the Rama tilsa vasa tilsa. Says the Gemara, you know what the machlekes is? The machlekes is v'chdei tilsa, the savrei tilsa. So says the Gemara, upligi the Rabbanan, and it's a machlekes on the Rabbanan. Savri talsli ayil tlasin afik pashle palga. Palga v'shita, palga mayim v'loy klamu. V'cherim savri tlas alterenu palga nafik. Pashle kuza v'shei palga chamra me'alyu b'yesv chlevidasai. Excuse me, chamra. So says the Gemara, let's understand what's going on. Let's go back for one moment. Rava taught us, everyone agrees, Rama tells of Asti Arba Chamru. 3 cups of water for the 4 cups of wine, that's considered Chamra. It's 1/4 the appropriate liquid, so it's Dino Chamra. Rava l'temei Rava kol Chamra del Dari. So Rava holds a sheet about wine. Any wine that cannot live, a chatzel l'smayin, 3 parts of water is not wine. Rama Tilsa. All agree as well that 3 cups of water without any shmar vasa tilsa, like klumu, that's also nothing. So you have both extremes. Keep ligi. Where was the machlekes? Tilsa palga. 3 cups of water and 3.5 cups were produced. So the question is it still within the parameter that it could be considered? Drabonin savit las ayos las enafik. Partially chabag is a half back leftover bagim shita maga. Then a half cup of wine with 6 half cups is nothing. Don't worry about it. It's no problem. 3 cups, but only 2.5 were produced. Partially kuzav and kuzav v'chei chamra mal. So we have to just do the math. But the mice will pick it up from here. B'siyata dishmaya.